The Young and the Restless spoilers next week October 21st to 25th, 2024. Lucy and Phyllis were spiraling into desperation. Daniel, the man they both loved and cherished, was teetering on the edge of losing his freedom. The clock was ticking, and if they couldn't find evidence to prove his innocence soon, he would be imprisoned for a crime he didn't commit. They were running out of options, and the walls were closing in on them. Chance, once a trusted ally, had grown cold and detached. He was convinced that his conclusions were correct, and he wasn't interested in hearing any more pleas from Phyllis or Lucy. His investigation was leading him down a dangerous path, one that threatened to destroy Daniel's life forever. Heather, Daniel's ex-wife, had been found dead in his home. Her blood was smeared across the living room floor, a gruesome reminder of the violence that had occurred. But something about the crime scene didn't sit right with Lucy or Phyllis. Someone had dragged Heather's body, but they had done so carefully, erasing traces of their presence. Whoever had done this knew what they were doing, and they had gone to great lengths to cover their tracks. But who could have had access to Daniel's house? Who could have known how to get in and out without leaving a single shred of evidence behind? Phyllis and Lucy racked their brains for answers, but the truth seemed elusive. Only someone close to Daniel, someone with intimate knowledge of his life, could have pulled off such a meticulous cover-up. The realization chilled them both. This wasn't the work of a stranger. This was personal. Meanwhile, across town, Victor Newman was facing his own internal turmoil. At over 80 years old, the legendary business titan was weary of the endless battles, both within and outside his family. His body was weakening, and he could feel time slipping away from him. The energy he once had to manage Newman Enterprises was fading, and the time had come to make a decision about the company's future. But this decision would be far from easy. For years, Victor had been torn between his children, Victoria, Nick, and Adam. Each of them had their own vision for Newman Enterprises, but only one of them would carry the company forward. Despite the immense love he had for his children, Victor had always felt a deep connection with Adam, even though Adam's past was filled with conflict and betrayal. Adam was his son, born out of his complicated relationship with Hope, and while Adam's upbringing had been different from his siblings, Victor couldn't deny that Adam was like him in many ways, ruthless, driven, and ambitious. In a secret meeting, Victor made a decision that would shake the foundations of the Newman family. He and Adam struck a deal, a plan that would eventually see Adam take over as CEO of Newman Enterprises. It wasn't a decision made lightly, but Victor believed Adam was the one best suited to carry on his legacy. However, this agreement was shrouded in secrecy, because Victor knew that the rest of his family, especially Nikki, would fiercely oppose it. Nikki had always been vocal about her distrust of Adam. To her, Adam was not truly part of the Newman bloodline. He was the product of Victor's affair with Hope, and to Nikki, and perhaps even to Victoria and Nick, he was the outsider, the black sheep, who didn't belong in their world. Adam had proven time and again that he could be ruthless, and his actions over the years had alienated him from the rest of the family. Nikki, Nick, and Victoria had fought hard to keep Adam out of the company's leadership, believing that he was too dangerous, too unpredictable, to be given such immense power. Victor knew this, and it pained him to think of the coming conflict. But he had made his choice. His health was failing, and he couldn't fight forever. He needed to secure the future of his empire, and in his heart, he believed Adam was the right choice. But the price for this decision would be high. Nikki, Victoria, and Nick would not stand by and let Adam take control without a fight. The Newman family was about to be torn apart by a power struggle that would rival any they had faced before. As Victor wrestled with the future of Newman Enterprises, Lucy and Phyllis were facing their own battle for Daniel's freedom. The pieces of the puzzle were starting to come together, but they needed proof, concrete evidence that could clear Daniel's name and expose the real killer. Phyllis knew that the investigation was closing in on her son, and she couldn't let that happen. She had fought too hard for him, sacrificed too much, to let him be wrongly convicted. But time was running out. Chance was relentless, convinced that Daniel was guilty. His tunnel vision was preventing him from seeing the bigger picture. Phyllis had tried reasoning with him, but it was no use. Chance believed that his judgment was sound, that all the evidence pointed to Daniel.
And then there was Victor, always lurking in the background, a a powerful force in Genoa City. Phyllis couldn't shake the feeling that Victor's hands were involved in this somehow. He had always been a master manipulator, pulling strings behind the scenes to get what he wanted. Could he be involved in framing Daniel? Could Victor have had some role in what happened to Heather? Victor had his own battles to fight, and his focus was on securing his empire for Adam. But as the web of lies and deceit grew, it became clear that every player in Genoa City was somehow connected. The Newman family was about to implode over the CEO succession, while Phyllis and Lucy were on the verge of uncovering a secret that could destroy everything they knew. Phyllis and Lucy had one final card to play. They knew that the only way to save Daniel was to uncover the truth about who had really killed Heather. The evidence they needed was out there, somewhere, and as much as Phyllis despised the idea, she knew that she might have to go to Victor for help. He had connections, power, and resources that could turn the tide in their favor. But would Victor be willing to help, especially when his focus was on handing the reins of his empire to Adam? The secrets, lies, and betrayals in Genoa City were about to explode, leaving no one unscathed. For Phyllis, Lucy, Daniel, and the Newman family, the future was uncertain. But one thing was clear: nothing would ever be the same again. Jack's heart ached at the thought of Kyle, the son he had raised and loved, being dragged into this mess. He knew Victor wouldn't care. Victor had never cared about anyone but himself, and he certainly wouldn't be interested in claiming Kyle as his own. Jack could already see it. Victor would deny everything, refusing to acknowledge Kyle's existence. And Kyle would be left lost, without a father, without a family. Diane's cruelty knew no bounds. She had not only destroyed Jack's life, but she had also ensured that Kyle would be caught in the crossfire, torn between two men who had both been lied to. As Diane turned to leave, she paused at the door, casting one final look at Jack. "Good luck picking up the pieces, Jack. You're going to need it." With that, she was gone, leaving Jack alone in his office, shattered and broken. He stared at the DNA results on the floor, the truth staring back at him like a living nightmare. Everything he had believed, everything he had fought for, had been built on a lie. Jack knew he had to tell Kyle. But how could he break his son's heart? How could he look Kyle in the eye and tell him that the man he had always known as his father wasn't his father at all? That his real father was the man who had been the Abbott family's greatest enemy for years? There was no easy answer. Jack felt as though he was standing on the edge of an abyss, unsure of how to move forward. Diane had done her worst, and now he had to find a way to pick up the pieces of the life